Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
This will be the first time the United States Treasury has this, why you should be using Nextdoor, and we're going to talk about learning. Enjoy.
Were you calling to me from outside of a dream? I wanna live, I wanna love you a little longer. I was invincible many years ago when I was so much stronger.
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. I'm super excited that you are tuning into this podcast. If this is your first time, this podcast is all about my adventures as an entrepreneur. And what we do is we talk about, the most important news thing that I think is relevant to you. We talk about some social media stuff. Today, we also have some questions from our broadcast channel, or my broadcast channel and Instagram, I guess I should say. And then we're going to talk a little bit about learning and see what else happens along the way. So I hope that you enjoy. If you could do me a quick favor, go on all social medias while you're listening to this, if you can, and subscribe to me at Age of Jeremy. If it's on X, it's at Age of Jeremy Q. If it's Facebook or LinkedIn, it's Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla. You can probably find me if you just type in Age of Jeremy. And then also, if you're on Instagram, go ahead and join my broadcast channel. I'm super excited. Thank you, everybody who's a part of the broadcast channel. There's 40 people in there now. I am super stoked about that. Even 5 people or 10 people are a part of it. But inside that broadcast channel, it's called Dope Insights and Updates. It's all the insights and updates that I have going on, whether it's investing, this podcast, my entrepreneurship journey, and a lot of it will be more focused towards investing and other financial advice as we move forward. But again, I'll also do some behind the scenes stuff like I recently did when me and my niece were at Funko Pop in Hollywood, or the Funko store in Hollywood. So again, go to Instagram, go to the profile. There's a broadcast channel. It's called Dope Insights and Updates. Check it out. I'd love for you to join so you can get deeper into the weeds, as they would say. And then also, too, if you don't know about 3T Warrior Academy, head on over to 3twarrioracademy.com. Check out our 3T Warrior Academy. Over 8,000 warriors have gone through our 120-day challenge. We also have technical analysis, crypto on-demand videos. If you follow Coach JV or you follow me, you can find our exit targets. You can learn about building generational wealth. There is all kinds of amazing stuff that's going on. And I'll give some other updates in the My Business Updates section as we continue to make this show better and better. But to get us started, I wanted to talk about Trump's new nomination for the head of the United States Treasury. Now, he is a Republican, the head of the United States Treasury, which I don't always judge all Republicans. I just judge MAGA Republicans, and I really don't even judge them. People are trying to do the best they can with the life that they have, and we got to be open to that. But President-elect Donald Trump said he is nominating Scott Bessent, who runs a macro hedge fund Key Square Group, as the next United States Treasury Secretary. Enlisting a key advisor to manage the sweeping economic agenda he has vowed to enact in a second term. Now, what's interesting about this is a couple of things. First, Scott has long been a strong advocate of the America First agenda. Trump said this in a statement on Friday. On the eve of our great country's 250th anniversary, Trump said this, and he said that Scott will help Trump usher in a new golden age for the United States as we fortify our position in the world's leading economy. Now, one of the things that I think people have to understand is, while I am very Marxian in my economic theory and very communist and anarchistic in my political thought and political theory, I still do want to see America be a world-leading economy. I just want it to have a different structure inside of it, a better structure that's better for all people. And so I think having an America First agenda is great. Now, if that America First agenda has to do with Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation bullshit, excuse my language, then I'm not really for that, just because of certain things that are involved with that, such as Christian nationalism, which I'm not against anybody believing in Christ, and I'm definitely not against anybody believing in Christ as from a spiritual practice and what you can accomplish through enlightenment, following certain things like ceremonial magic and Jewish mysticism and Christian mysticism. But I am against our nation being Christ-centric and Christ first. I'm 100% against that, and I will preach that from the mountaintops. and fight against it. I'm assuming until the day that I die, because I've been fighting against it so long or for a while now, I guess. But what's also interesting about but real quick. So again, I'm very for America being a world leading economy, and I think there's a lot of things that we need to do better. And I'm also for the unification of us, Canada, Greenland, Mexico, Central America, and South America as being one of the strongest forces in the world through North American, South American partnership, kind of like the European Union is, but that's a completely different story. Back to Bessent. So Bessent is 62. He emerges the pick after an extended search for a Treasury chief that saw Trump consider multiple candidates, and Wall Street executives and business leaders vie to influence the president-elect's decision. Allies believed that Trump sought a candidate that would be favored both by Wall Street as well an electoral base eager for him to implement swifting tariffs, embrace cryptocurrencies, and crack down on undocumented migration. Bessent beat out other prominent contenders, including Apollo Group Management Inc. executive Mark Rowan, former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh, and Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, as well as Trump transition co-heir Howard Lutnick, who was named to lead the Commerce Department. And this next thing is what I'm kind of really excited about with this pick. If confirmed by the U.S. Senate, Bessent would be the first openly gay Treasury chief and one of the wealthiest in modern times. Bessent has said that he has always wanted to serve his country, but in the 1980s, his sexual orientation prevented him from going to the U.S. Naval Academy, and after graduating from Yale University, go Yale, from joining the State Department. His sexual orientation stopped him from joining the State Department. He joins an economic team beginning to take shape just weeks after Trump won his second presidential term. Trump announced that his former budget director, Russ Vought, who I'm not a fan of because he is a Christian nationalist, would be returning to the same role in a statement to his social media platform later Friday. One of the reasons why I think that Bessent might be a good pick is the fact that he is openly gay. Now, I know that people are usually like, well, it shouldn't matter if someone's gay or not. It should be a matter what their worth is. Well, or what their merit is. But the thing that people have to understand is when you have a different sexual orientation, you have a different race, you have a different ethnicity, that actually adds to your ability to see the world in a different way than other people would not. And therefore, you have a different ability, possibly a better ability than other people would who don't have said ethnic difference or sexual orientation difference. So Scott Bessent being a homosexual, I think is beneficial, not to specifically the Treasury Department, but specific for having openly gay individuals as heads of government. And secondly, to have someone that's openly gay that has a ear to Donald Trump would be beneficial as more Christian nationalists come into our country or into government. I guess they're in our country already if they're Christian nationalists. Well, I guess they could be Christian nationalists from another country and be here, but not be Christian nationalists for America. But anyway, Christian nationalists that are in America should be, I guess, looked at skeptically if they're in government. And I think that having someone who is openly gay as a head of, I guess, a state department or a government department would be super beneficial for maybe possibly helping make sure that his best interest of being a homosexual or being openly gay are benefited. For example, not, if the Supreme Court ends up having more Christian nationalists in it and they're looking to possibly, try to reverse homosexuals from being married or put different things in place against LGBTQ+, maybe having someone like Bessent next to Trump and then Trump having those conversations with Republicans and the Republicans having a conversation with the Supreme Court, we would possibly get different outcomes because of it. So I think that this is really good. And I think it's really good for America as far as having someone who is the first homosexual that is in charge of a large government body. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. And we will be right back.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Ready to launch a career and future you can be proud of? Welcome to Merrill, where an industry-leading advisor training program will help you get licensed. And with lead gen support from Bank of America's vast customer base, you'll get the referrals you need to establish your own practice. It's time to see your career charge forward with Merrill. Apply now at careers.bankofamerica.com. Copyright 2024 Bank of America Corporation.
All right, I hope you heard some amazing, cool commercials there, and you go and buy some amazing stuff. You can also check out Michael's Health at michaelshealth.com. They are one of our sponsors that I talk about on our Age of Radioverse show, Mercury, that comes out on Fridays. Go over to michaelshealth.com, see all the great naturopathic remedies and solutions that they have for you. They have been around since 1984. I was 1 year old when Michael started Michael's Health, so they might know what they're doing when it comes to naturopathic solutions. So go check them out again at michaelshealth.com. One of the things that I recently did is I'm revamping a lot of the stuff that's going on with Q Financial. And so I wanted to talk from a social media perspective today about the benefit if you have a service business and how you should be building your communities on Nextdoor. So if you don't know what Nextdoor is, it's a social media website that's designed for you to engage and interact with people that are in your direct community, to ask questions, to talk about stuff, to build relationships, to get to know one another, to feel safe around one another. But it works essentially kind of like how a Facebook feed would. You have a feed, you have advertisements. You also have the ability to create business pages. You have the ability to text message people. It's not really designed for you to like throw your thoughts out there. I mean, you can, but it's more designed of like, I'm trying to find out stuff to do in the community. So I was talking about, wouldn't it be cool if we had a racquetball court or a pickleball court here at the park that's closest to me, because the park seems a little bare. They say it has a soccer field, but that just means that it just has grass. So it'd be different if it said at a baseball field. But grass is grass. There's plenty of room there to have some type of racquetball courts, keep a soccer field available, and have the playground. So that was a question that I asked. I was, asked a question like, what did people think about having their decorations up early? And a bunch of people respond to that. I don't think Christmas decorations should come up until the day after Thanksgiving. And that being said, I don't even know what Christmas decorations I have anymore. I don't think we did anything last year for Christmas. And I want this year to be different, and I'm going to be focusing on that. But I recommend that you start building a relationship on Nextdoor, not only because you can get to know your community, and I'm a big advocate for people to be engaging in their community, but it also gives you the opportunity, if you're a service, if you provide services, for you to talk about those services and to engage in people on Nextdoor. Now, you don't want to be spammy, right? I haven't even created my business page yet for it, for Q Financial, of course. But eventually I'll talk to people about life insurance, doing consultations for them, getting together, meeting with them, building good relationships, maybe playing some Warhammer with them, getting them in Baldur's Gate 3 on PlayStation. There's all kinds of great things that you can do. And I'm in this phase that I'm focusing on where I'm focusing on being one of the most, I guess, memorable or most known people in the community. And to do that, you have to put in a lot of work. And it can't be one-sided work. It has to be giving work. And then it also has to be receiving. There has to be mutual value exchange. Too many times on social media, it's just, I want to post this. I want you to buy my stuff. I want you to do this. And I'm never going to reciprocate anything. So the best thing that you can do going out the gate is help people, engage with them, build relationships, and slowly start talking to them about the products and services that you have slowly as you start building your momentum in the community. So I would recommend that you go get Nextdoor. You can also advertise your businesses on there. Once my business page is up, I'll probably put some Q Financial I'll be putting some Q Financial advertisement on there, and we can start to see it grow. You can also like sell stuff on here. There's a notifications tab. You can add people from your contact list that happen to be in the community. The other thing too is like people show pictures of stuff that's going on in the community, things that they found. Let people know about other people that are, doing stupid shit inside of the community. There's a one-way direction to like the crime prevention specialist in my area with the Glendale Police Department. I talked to her in the past when I was trying to build something out here in in my area. My district's called the Acoma district. And then for it's either Country Gable, well, it's Acoma on next door, but for my like voting precinct, I think it's Country Gables, if I'm not mistaken. I can never remember that. I'm a horrible precinct committeeman, but I'm going to be changing a little bit about how I go about politics as I move into the future and work towards my political career. But we're not going to talk about that right now. What I want you to do is I want you to go get Nextdoor. I want you to start thinking about how you can use it for your business, building out your business page, building strong relationships, because the two most important apps that I think people are sleeping on still are LinkedIn and now Nextdoor. So I am trying to put an amazing plan in place for what I'm doing on LinkedIn, and I will share that with you as I continue to do more. Right now, I'm just sharing my thoughts on LinkedIn. I'm posting my video that I do on all my social media once a day and putting that on my LinkedIn page. But I'm really working on trying to be a collaborator or a collaborator on LinkedIn. And then I'm also trying to work on being a commentator or community specialist inside of X. So there's lots of things that I'm working on from that capacity to build up thought leadership. And that's something that you should think about. And we'll talk more about how to kind of get into that when we talk about into the learning phase later on. So make sure that you stay till the end of this episode if you want to learn more about that. But again, make sure that you go get Nextdoor, start building out a strategy. As I come up with how I'm doing my strategy right now, my strategy for Nextdoor is just to talk and get to know my neighbors and communicate with them, build my business page for Q Financial, and then start to see how to run ads. If I remember correctly from the last time that I looked at how to do ads, it was quite a bit of money. It was like $200 minimum that you had to spend, which I guess isn't that much if you have money coming in, but you have to have money coming in to be putting money out. And so I guess it goes hand in hand. But again, I will keep you updated on when I'm doing that and how I'm doing that. And if you join the broadcast channel, I'll put in there a post after this about, are you using Nextdoor or LinkedIn, and how are you utilizing it to build your brand or your thought leadership? Now, one of the things that we started doing in this podcast is I want to be able to answer questions for you. So I posted in our 3-2 Warrior Academy Mighty Network Business Forum, and I posted in my broadcast channel, and I want to know questions that you have. So every week I'm asking questions. This week, we have a question from Thomas. You can find him on Instagram at Thomas Hensley Management, Thomas Hensley MT, Thomas Hensley Montana is probably what it stands for. You to go to Thomas and then Hensley and then MT. And so he asks, how important is keeping the promises of products a company delivers, and how do you recognize and rectify when you fall short? And give an example. That is an intense question, Thomas, and I don't have a lot of great, I guess, experience with physical products, but you can also think about service as a product. And one of the things that I would say, the first thing that you want to do is you never want to overpromise and underdeliver. So you want the marketing and the message to be on point for what it is that you're actually going to deliver to your customers or to your consumers. And so to do that, you have to make sure that you have a really good marketing strategy and that you have a really good marketing team. What I see when it comes to, we'll use insurance as an example, is people are always over-promising with insurance. Like you're going to be a millionaire, you can save this much money, you'll never pay taxes. Most people kind of go above and beyond because they want the money only comes if the thing closes. And so when that happens, lots of the times people overpromise stuff and then it always falls short. So you always want to be completely realistic about what it is that your product offers and what your product is better when it comes to competitors, and be able to handle the objection if someone says that your competitor does something different. Now, if your product ends up falling short after someone has gotten it, you have to realize that it could have been a couple of things. One, it could have been because you didn't explain it well enough. It couldn't have been because the product, if it's a physical product, was shitty or there was something wrong with it. And so the best thing that you can always do is take like ownership or take blame for when something is going bad. If you take the ownership and you take the blame, I have always found that people are okay with it. And then if you make the promise to make it better or to rectify the situation within the bounds of what is in your control, and you follow through with that, then you will continue to have that person be a customer. And that happens all the time. That happens to me when it comes to Q Financial. It happens to me with Age of Radio. It happens to me with 3T Warrior Academy. If something happens and it falls short, and it wasn't because I overpromised, and then under delivered, and it was a good promise and a good delivery, but it just felt short because of the customer's expectations, or because the product ended up not being what they wanted it to be or thought that it was going to be, then you own up to that. You find out how to make the situation better, and then you follow through with making the situation better if you can. And then sometimes it just means that you and that consumer, or you and that customer, needs to part ways. But the best thing that you can always do in any situation is always make sure that you are being honest and telling the truth. And if you do that, I think it'll win every time. It's like that saying from the Bible that the truth will set you free, or that Jesus said, or someone said, some person said that somewhere, that the truth will set you free. And I think that if you just hold true to that, then you'll always be in a good position, no matter, what specifically is happening. Now, I also, if you are in our 3T Warrior Academy and you're listening to this, you can go and ask me questions inside of the 3T Warrior Academy business forum. And so right now I have one from Jim Roberts. Jim Roberts asks, if I plan to become an active trader, would you recommend setting up a LLC or a corporation? If you are working on being an active trader, I would say the best thing to be is just do a limited liability corporation up until you're making about $75,000 to $100,000. And then you can probably switch it over to an S Corp tax filing, but you can keep it as a limited liability corporation. So limited liability corporations, if you're new to them, are not an entity that the IRS recognizes as a tax entity. It recognizes as an entity, but it's traditionally a state-owned concept. And so the IRS says that, okay, you can either be taxed as a single member, which is no different than being a sole proprietor. You can be taxed as a partnership, which is like you and two members that own the LLC, or you can be taxed like an S corporation. With the S corporation, you will pay yourself an income from it. And from that income, you will make it a decent regular income, and then everything else you will take as distributions. And all of the money that you take as distributions, you do not have to pay any state employee taxes on, like Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment, and so forth. So when you're an LLC, no matter how much profit you make, you have to pay federal taxes on it, state taxes on it, and employee taxes on it. If you were like Medicare, FICA, things like that, of that nature. And so, and unemployment, I guess. And so you have to pay those for all of the profit, whether or not you took that profit and moved it over into your own personal checking account. So traditionally, the thought process is once you get to about $75,000 and $100,000 and you can pay yourself a good wage, you pay yourself that $75,000 a year. And then anything over that you take as a distribution, and you will only have to pay the federal and state taxes on it as it bleeds through and passes through to you. If you are going to become an active trader and have other traders and make funds, then you can maybe think about doing it as a corporation. But traditionally, you're only going to want to have it be a limited liability company up until taxed as a sole proprietor, right? Taxed as a sole proprietor if it's you. And then once you get to about $75,000 to $100,000 in income a year, you want to move it over to an S Corp, start paying you as a W-2 employee, and then anything above like an average salary, $50,000 to $75,000 a year, you can take as distributions, and you'll only have to pay Fed tax on it. And all that money is going to bleed through. So what that means, it's a pass-through entity. Or it's pass-through taxes. And so any profit comes to your personal taxes. But again, the difference, and I'm just saying this over and over because a lot of people, it's difficult for people to see, and that's why I usually draw pictures. But if you're an LLC that's taxed like a sole proprietor partnership, that money passes through. Okay. If it's a partnership and you're not active in it, you don't have to pay the employee taxes. If you're a sole proprietor, you do have to pay the employee taxes. If it is an S Corp, you can pay yourself as a W-2, pay the employee taxes on that and employer taxes on that amount. And then you do not have to pay federal or state taxes or pay those employee taxes on any other distributions that you have. If that doesn't make sense, Jim, and you're listening to this, then reach out to me in the academy and jump into one of our business forums and I'll go over it with a whiteboard. It's kind of like, it's difficult for people to see because they hear LLC, but they don't realize that an LLC is just an entity. It has 3 different tax classifications that can be assigned to it. And then you have an S Corp that's a corporation and not an LLC. And you have a C Corp that is a corporation that's not a pass-through entity. So again, it's kind of difficult to answer that question without visuals.
This episode is brought to you by Global X. Since 2008, Global X ETFs has been committed to empowering investors with unexplored, intelligent solutions. Global X specializes in exchange-traded funds that offer exposure to the artificial intelligence ecosystem, including themes like data centers, robotics, semiconductors, and cloud computing. To learn more about Global X's entire suite of ETFs, from covered calls, fixed income, emerging markets, and more, visit globalxetfs.com.
But again, if you were just starting out, just open it as an LLC and you're just going to be a sole proprietor, and that should be fine. You will pay probably less taxes overall until you start getting into that 6 figures, if that makes sense. The other thing too is when you're doing that, there's a lot of more work that goes into getting the LLC open. Usually if it's for crypto exchanges. For brokerage accounts, it's the same as opening a checking account for the most part. Crypto accounts, it might be a little bit, won't be really more strenuous. It might take longer, I guess, to get an exchange open for as a business for a crypto account. And then the other thing too is if you then have to have that checking account open in the name of the LLC, that could be a little bit more frustrating, especially if it has to do with crypto and crypto trading, because the banks are going to deep dive. So you might want to find a decent crypto-friendly online bank. The good thing is, as we go into more, I guess, regulation with cryptocurrencies, a lot more banks will be able to be fine having your account be a business that's related to something that has to do with cryptocurrency. But right now it's pretty difficult. So I hope that answers that, Jim. If not, reach out to me in 3T Warrior Mighty Network group, and I can go ahead and elaborate a little bit more. And then if you want, you can jump on our business forum call when we have one, and I can answer that for you, or we can set up a time to do a one-on-one session. So I hope that that helps you for the time being. All right. So if you want your questions answered, we will be working to get more and more questions in here. So again, Thomas Hensley, MT on Instagram, and then Jim inside of Mighty Network answered the questions today. I hope that gave you some clarity. Reach out to me either in the broadcast channel or DM me or Mighty Network if you want me to elaborate more, and then tell your friends to ask questions as well, and we will answer them here on The Age of Jeremy. We'll be right back after these messages, or after this short break, or whatever you hear. We'll be right back. All right. So as far as businesses are concerned, business updates are concerned, a lot of what I'm really working on is building the brand assets for Q Financial. That's 1. Building a good insurance portfolio 2. And 3, really focusing on building an Age of Radio advertising program and plan. And by that, I mean really setting up time to block time for sales. The one thing that I consistently struggle with, and I encourage each of you just to be mindful of what you're doing with your time and saying yes to stuff. If I could go back, I love a lot of the businesses that I'm a part of. I love doing a lot of the stuff, and I love the people that I'm doing with it, but it's not really, some of them aren't really where my heart's at. And there are other things that I'm trying to accomplish, and it's not even like accomplish to get a certain amount of money. I'm already a millionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm not really worried about money in the sense of me growing the things that I'm trying to grow. It's just where is that time going, and where that energy is going, and what are you doing? Because at the end of the day, all the people, the reason why I think CJV and me vibe so much, even though we have a lot of differences when it comes to well, first of all, I think politically, I think we want the same thing. I think I'm more open and very less conservative than most people in the world. If you want to be LGBT plus Q, I'm perfectly okay with that. I want you to be happy. I want you to be happy with your sexuality. I want you to experiment and explore your sexuality. I want you to experiment and explore Kundalini yoga, Tantra, sex magic, all of that stuff. So for me, the LGBTQ plus thing isn't really that big of a deal, and it's never been that big of a deal. And I've never even thought about it as a deal. It's just, if that's what you love and that's what makes you happy and that's where you find your passion, then go and do that. I don't think people in the LGBT plus community are doing anything bad. I don't think that if a trans woman goes into the bathrooms, they're even thinking about your kids. I don't think that they give two shits about that. And there's lots of arguments that I could make to disprove people thinking that. As far as community goes, I don't like capitalism. I think it's ridiculous. I think a small group of people having a say in everybody's lives is stupid. And there's nothing that can change my mind about that. Now, that being said, are there certain things that work really well in free markets? I do think there are things that work really well in free markets, but I also think that there's also, as far as a as far as merchant goes and being a type of what's the gentleman's name of the Merchant of Venice? Is it Shylock? I don't know, but there's a term that's a negative term for a Jew because of the Merchant of Venice, and it's about him being a peddler and like a hustler, and trying to peddle goods and being trying to get the most out of the best benefit for you. I don't believe in that. I'm not really big into negotiations. We have a conversation. I can tell you what's going to work for me. You can tell me what's going to work for you. But there doesn't have to be a winner, only one winner at the end. Both of us can be winners in that negotiation. And that's what I think a true relationship with another business is. And so I think that free markets can work really, really good. And I think that we need to have the ability for people to have small businesses. But I don't think corporations should get so large where the board members and the majority shareholders, the ones that have all of the say in what happens with that, and that the corporations, because they have the most money, they can influence our politics and then influence the government and then influence our individual lives. And so the people that are very anti-government, they should also be anti-big corporation too, because the big corporations are no different than the government. Currently, the big corporations are just using the government to get the things that they want. If the government loses its ability to control and to and the people that have a say in what the corporations do, then the corporations are still going to manipulate us in the same way because they're all the fuckers with all the money. And so that in that regards, that's what I don't like about capitalism. And I think that there's better things we can do where we create democracy in the workplace, where each person has a vote. We do different managing systems. We do different types of ownership structures. We do different types of voting. And I think when we look at some of the longest lasting and the happiest companies in the world, they are more socialist and they are more democratic and they are more where all of the people benefit from all of the hard work that they do. And I think that from that perspective, I don't think that me and CJV are that much different in what we think of when it comes to like businesses. And again, that is 100% okay if we kind of divide along those lines. But I think at the end of the day, we want what is best for the people inside of this country, and we want what is best for the people to do what they know that they need to do to be successful. And so that is why I think when I think of 3-2 Warrior Academy, I want to be able to put more energy into what I do inside of our business forum, inside of 3-2 Warrior Academy. I want to be able to do more where we get our affiliates working better inside of 3-2 Warrior Academy. And I want more of my time to go there. And I want more of my time to go into the bookkeeping and the financial analysis from that perspective of it. And I want that company to do well. And because I've seen how much it benefits from people. And so I think from that perspective, I want people to be more educated with investments. I want people to be more educated with cryptocurrency. I want people to be more educated with trust. I want them to be able to have more control and not let the government or the other corporation or the larger corporations have a say and control of what they're doing with their lives and with their money. And I think from that perspective, like I said, me and CJV currently completely vibe. Now, from a political perspective, I guess other than that, I think that there's some things different. I don't think Trump's a good human being. But again, that doesn't stop me from caring if someone else, that doesn't stop me from judging someone else if they are very pro-Trump. What I don't want to have happen is any of our freedoms as it comes to our civil liberties for people of the LGBTQ plus, for immigrants to be, I guess, taken away. And so the point being is though educating people on how to not be oppressed, how to take advantages of businesses, how to invest better, how to take advantage of cryptocurrency. I think that that's really important. And I think we do that in the 3-2 Warrior Academy. And I think that my place and part inside of there, I could be doing more if I didn't have so many other obligations from other types of our businesses. And so one of the biggest things that I'm really focusing on is continuing to block my time more so that I am able to sell the life insurance, because I think that that's important. Being able to do more consultations inside of the academy. And then for my love and my passion as a tech company and what I want to achieve right now with media is to get Age of Radio, getting more advertising space in, and to get the applications that I want to be built with Age of Radio. And then there's so many other ideas that I have outside of that and past that, but those things have to be so core to the growth of the business, because without the advertising coming into Age of Radio, without that revenue, then I can't get the application done. Without my know-how of the app, getting more people involved with building out the application, it's never going to have done. I've been talking about it for 5 fucking years. I've built the UI for it. I've spent so much time and energy on it, and stuff keeps grabbing me in other directions because I keep saying yes. Where if I could step back, my energy and focus would be going into 3T. It would be going into Q Financial, and be going to Age of Radio. And that is where I'm really trying to drive a lot of my focus. Now, the only other thing that, takes up a lot of my energy and my time is Merlin. Now, I love Merlin. Merlin is a fantastic app. You should go get Merlin Crypto. And it has a piece in the larger scheme of all the things that I'm trying to accomplish. But if I could go back, I wouldn't have done, and this is the caveat, I wouldn't have said I would do all of the roles that I do inside of that business. I'm the chief marketing officer. I'm the chief operating officer. I am the chief financial officer. I am the chief legal officer, and I'm one of the main strategists as being an owner. If I could go back, I would change a lot of that. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm trying to do right now is break apart the amount of stuff that I have to do for each of these businesses so that I can focus on some pretty focused things, right? Like in 3T, focus on building the business forum, the affiliates, making sure that it's running smoothly, the whole thing, right? The financial portion of all of our businesses, getting more help for that so I don't have to worry about that. I need to have another finance person for that. Building this brand, this Age of Jeremy brand, which is part of the overall growth of Age of Radio and where Age of Radio is going, and then increase our insurance portfolio, build Q Financial, and build Age of Radio and build the revenue. And the only way to do that, and the reason why I'm sharing this with you and my failure, is that I took on too much. Do not take on so much stuff. Find a way to either not do the thing that you're going to do right now, or find someone else who can manage it and operate it. And the more that you do that, I know it'll suck because you have to you have to pay for it right away. It takes money out of your pocket. You may not see that growth of that for a long, long time, many, many years, but trust me, in the end, it'll be worth it. And that's the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this specific update, because as an entrepreneur for you, you have to find a way to get other pieces of the puzzle to be playing for you. Okay. And if you cannot do that, you will work on the things that you don't need to be working on like I do on a regular basis. And it takes away from all of the amazing other things that you would want to do. So I encourage you to really, really focus on getting help either through equity or through paying them or a combination of both so that you can grow your business. And I've slowly been doing this over the last couple of months, and I've been able to grow so much more in all of my businesses. And I'm going to keep continuing to do that so that I can just focus on the things that I had just mentioned to you. We'll be right back.
The holiday season officially starts when you get that first card in the mail. Shutterfly makes it easy to add more meaning to the everyday with hundreds of holiday card designs that can be personalized in seconds with your favorite photos from this year. Select your greeting, customize the color, and even add little extras like personalized foil to make a holiday card that really shines. Enjoy 40% off with code SMILE40 at Shutterfly.com and send something meaningful this year. See site for more details.
All right. Thank you so much for going to my TED Talk. I do want to say that I do love all of the people that I'm in business with, but being open and honest and transparent on this podcast and wanting the best for you, becoming a millionaire and growing your businesses to wherever you want to grow them. It's really important. You got to say no, and you got to say yes to doing only the things that you know are going to move certain things forward. We call it moving the needle forward, but I think all of those other things move the needle forward. It's just like, what are the things that you're doing to move the needle that you're in charge of forward, I guess I would say. And so one of the things that I've been thinking about, because learning is so important, I want you to know that learning has to be like one of the most important things that you are focusing on in your life and as an entrepreneur. And it does take a lot of time. But the thing about it is that if you give the time to it, as I've seen, you do sacrifice other stuff, but it helps you so much further along the way. And I'm always talking about learning. I'm such an advocate for people's education and people's growth and our universities. But you have to sit and think about what is going to be the most important things that you could be learning and how you can stay up to this type of learning in your specific business. And so to think about that, I want to talk a little bit about, how you can grow as an entrepreneur to keep an edge. Okay. And so first one, you have to embrace learning as like a mindset. And that's one of the things that I'm just going to toot my own horn, I guess. That's one thing that I've done really well is education and learning is the most important thing to me above anything else. Now, that being said, I may not act that way sometimes because of all the stuff that I take on and I don't get to learn and grow the way that I want to, but you have to embrace a learning mindset. So first and foremost, it's essential to cultivate that learning mindset, which means being open to new ideas. So many times in the people that I'm around a lot, they're very closed-minded to ideas that completely don't fit into their own scheme of things or that don't reinforce their own ideas. I encourage you that no matter what you do, whether it's an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur or whatever, always read about the opposite of the idea that you hold dear. And I know that this would sound weird, but if you're a Christian, read the Satanic Bible. If you're a Christian, read the Quran. If you're a Buddhist, read the Quran. If you're, a Sufi, read, the Jain's books, read Tibetan Buddhism. And I'm just using religion as an example. It can go with anything though. If you don't believe that you should take the COVID vaccine, buy the journals, read the research that went into it from the other side of it, and make a really informed decision. And the only way to do that is to being open to new ideas and being open to being curious and recognizing that there is always going to be more to learn, which is one of the saddest and greatest parts about life, in my opinion, is that I will never learn everything that I want to, but I will keep learning because it'll keep making me stronger. The other thing that you need to do is you have to leverage online courses. This is something that I need to do better at. So one of the most successful ways to continue learning is through online courses and webinars. You can use platforms like Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, and they offer a wealth of courses and all kinds of stuff. Now, I'm kind of pretentious, as my mother likes to call me, and I would prefer to go to a community college or a college because I like supporting those. But on the flip side, there are lots of great things that you can learn from Coursera and Udemy. I've never done one of those courses. I've done LinkedIn Learning. That would probably be the first place that I start, not only because LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft and I'm a Microsoft shareholder and will be on their board of directors in the future. But the point is that you have to have that other type of learning, those courses to learn from, and it can't always be traditional courses. And that's the one thing that I'm learning from myself, that I have to get over that and be able to learn from anybody, go and find some good courses that I can learn from. There's also webinars that you can go to. I get interviewed. I get emails to webinars all the time that I wish that I could make time for. And again, it has to go back to me making time for it. So you have to make time for those webinars. And those webinars are usually hosted by industry experts. They provide up-to-date insights on what's going on in the industries and on ways to stay informed and to learn about, other trends that are going on in the industry, which is another thing that you can do to keep up with learning is reading industry news. I spend so much time reading news. It is not as much as I would like to spend reading the news, but I get notifications to my phone all the time. I flip through it. I get daily digests from different news sources into my feed. I also subscribe to academic journals that give me access to stuff. You can also use things like Business Insider, TechCrunch. You could find industry blogs. There are all kinds of things that you can do to find in your specific niche, and then go and subscribe to those and set up a regular time where you can read that stuff. I don't do that. That's what I need to do, right? Again, going back to blocking time and making sure that we are, blocking time for the learning and doing the things that we need to do. And one of those things is reading industry news so you can stay up to what's going on. Like I should be staying way more up to date on marketing. I should be staying way more up to date on taxes, accounting, all of that stuff. And so again, I get access to that. It's just me then sitting down and reading it. So if you don't have access to it, get access to it first and then sit down and read it and make sure that you're making time to read it. Again, the other thing is you got to listen to stuff. Podcasts is a great way, and I support podcast listening. And you can find a lot of great podcasts at ageofradio.com. But listening to podcasts is a great way to get information. Listening to audiobooks is a great way to get information. There are countless podcasts out there that focus on entrepreneurship, technology, marketing, all the things that I mentioned, all the things in your industry. There is probably a podcast for that no matter what industry you are in, and you should take advantage of those and listen to those bad boys. The other thing is mentorship and peer learning. I've never really found, I don't know if this is my arrogance or what, I've never really found anybody that interests me in being a mentor. The people that I want to mentor me are like Noam Chomsky and Aviva Chomsky and all the Chomskys. Anybody that has the last name Chomsky, those are the people that I want to enter, that I would want to mentor me. I mean, I think mentoring in academia, I feel would be good for me. I haven't met anybody that I have really been impressed with, and I'm sorry, I don't mean this in a bad way. I haven't met anybody that I'm really been impressed with, except for a few people that I wouldn't mind, mentoring me. CJV is someone he mentors me when I ask him questions. May mentors me on human design. And then we have a friend that's in Vegas, Rob, that I ask for a lot of questions, and my friend Dave that I ask questions for when I have them, and then Johnny Crypto, but they don't there's not like a formal mentorship that we have. It's just, those are the people that I go to when I have questions about specific things because they have insight that I want. So if that's what we're talking about, when we're talking about mentorship, then try to find that. I would call that peer learning. So find peers that you can learn from and that you can mentor, with, and they can, and hopefully I do apologize. I hope that none of that sounded bad, but I mean, that's really how I feel about things. I'm not interested in a regular mentorship. I would probably be more interested in peer learning because that's really what I do. But if you can seek out mentors who can offer guidance and wisdom based on their experience, which is, as I move into, let me take that back. As I move into other fields, that's going to become very prominent. In the current fields that I am in, there are fields that I have spent a lot of time in, and I haven't really looked into finding a mentor for them. Maybe there is a mentor out there. So I hope that didn't sound too harsh. Maybe there is a mentor out there in the fields that I'm currently in, and I just need to look. But most of my stuff comes from peer learning. However, as I move into starting some of these other businesses and ideas that I have, I think that they will need a mentor, and I think that it'll need to be regular mentorship for what I'm trying to accomplish. And so again, I think there is benefit in it. I just haven't been to a place where I need that regular mentorship, but that doesn't mean that you're not in that place and that you shouldn't take advantage of it, because you should take advantage of mentorship and peer learning. And then the other thing is you have to experiment and you have to have practical application. Never stop experiencing and never providing practical application. One of the things that I think that college does good that people don't think college does good is, now it doesn't do it good in the sense of actual, well, sometimes it does if you have an internship, but a lot of things when you're learning, at the end of textbooks, this professor will usually find questions that you have to answer, or things that you have to read, or stuff that you have to kind of try to apply the knowledge. And so one of the things when we learn apart from that, we don't do that type of application. And so there are books that I have, I can't name them off the top of my head. It's called Stick It, I think is what it's called. Then there's another, Make It Stick. And then there's another one that's got a similar title, but essentially it's these two PhDs in education and learning. They're talking about how, and it's specifically for college, but you can apply it to anything, about what you need to do to have stuff kind of stick with you and for you to continuously understand it. And one of those biggest thing is the application of it. And so when we're in college and we're reading textbooks and we're doing assignments, we're applying it to things, in a academic setting. Now, if you're able to, when you're learning something, you have to always try to figure out to apply it. And that's one of the failures that I see when people are learning stuff in the coaching that I do, is that they're reading stuff, they're they're listening to podcasts, they're doing all this stuff, but they're never applying it. You have to take what you learn and you have to apply it for it to be beneficial in your life. Okay. And so if you are listening to this, and there's anything that you take away from my rambling into this podcast, is that whatever you're learning, practice the fuck out of it as much as you possibly can. Write about it, read about it, take notes about it, go and tell it to your friends, teach it, all kinds of stuff. And that will help you use that information and take you to a next level with that information. And staying up to date with what's going on, it can be hard, and you have to continuously do it, because if you aren't doing it, you're going to get left behind. And so I think that's, you know what? There is one more that I mentioned, that I wrote down that I didn't mention. It's networking and joining professional groups. That was probably one of the most important ones, and probably where a lot of my energy is going right now, is trying to get involved with networking groups and professional groups, not only just to build dope friendships, but also to, build networking for business partnerships and raising money later on. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be in business, the one thing that I recommend, and some people might disagree with me. That's fine. People disagree with me on all kinds of shit. You have to get out of your comfort zone, and you have to be able to talk, engage, and build relationships with people. Yes, you can become a big famous person on social media. But at the end of the day, to really take things to the next level, you have to sit down, talk to people, negotiate with them, spend time with them, build strong relationships with them. And that's how you can even take it to the next level of where you want to go. And that's one of the things that I'm really focusing on, is not only getting to, grow inside of social media, but also to grow inside of the real world and those networking and those partnerships. So those can be keys to your success and staying up to date with what's going on in your industries and what you're trying to accomplish. And that can help you grow. So if we think about that, some of the things that you want to think about to get an entrepreneurship edge and to stay continuously learning, is embrace learning as a mindset. You want to leverage online courses and webinars and traditional education. You want to read industry news and read other blogs. You want to network and join professional groups, join chambers of commerce. I didn't really give examples when I was talking about that, but there's all kinds of stuff out there. Just go and search for it. You want to listen to podcasts and other audiobooks. You want to find mentors. You want to have peers that you can go to learn from. Again, that's the one that I really do. And you want to experiment with what you're learning, and you want to learn how to apply it. And if you do those things, you can create a really strong edge as an entrepreneur, and as a business owner, and as an entrepreneur, as whatever you want to be, no matter what you're doing. As a human, if you do those things, you will continuously have an edge. And with that, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you next time. Bye.
You were born in your dying, honey, I'm already crying for you.
Thank you so much for listening to The Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. If you like this podcast, make sure that you subscribe to it, share it with a friend, get it in front of many people as possible. Give it a rating, rate it 5, rate it 1, rate it 2, rate it whatever. Let me know what we can be doing better. Also, make sure that you go over to Instagram at Age of Jeremy and join my broadcast channels, Dope Updates, Dope Insights and Updates is what it's called right now. And I changed it up. I'm actually recording into my Shure SM7B. I'm recording into my Zoom L8 from the Shure SM7B. That's going into Steinberg's Cubase, and I use Waves plugins. And with that, the opening song was Positive Change by Gaslight Anthem, and the closing song was Gardens by Trevor Hall. And with that, one last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk with you soon. Bye.